Happy New Year, everyone. Let's hope that it gets a little better this year, but whatever the case is, we will survive. So I wanted to, first of all, welcome everyone who is new to my YouTube, and also those who are old to my YouTube. Anyway, today I feel very inspired to talk about what it's like to have a song written about you. Since the Get Back film, I've been doing more interviews, you could say. So this has come up about what it feels like to have a song written about you. And if you have, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then enjoy my trip. First of all, Pisces Apple Lady was recorded in 1969 in London. Leon Russell had come over to record his first solo album, and we'd had dinner and kind of got to know each other a little. This all started off because I asked him to play on a Jackie Lomax session, but it was canceled. George's mom was sick, so he left town and he was producing it. So we went out to dinner, and my mind was like, first of all, what we had in common is that we were both from Oklahoma. I had lived in Owasso near Tulsa, and he was from Tulsa. So he told me he did actually play at the church that I went to, but I didn't meet him at that time. And so anyway, he seemed a little bit more involved in me than I was in him at that time. Let me put it that way. I was working for the Beatles. I was not interested at all in getting involved with somebody from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And and I thought he was a little weird. He kind of scared me in a funny kind of way. It was like those eyes just drilled through you. So he frightened me, and also the idea of, that's my dog, and that will just always happen through every video. He scared me and at the same time fascinated me. So it was a mixture of emotions for me. Anyway, I had not gone with him to a couple places he'd invited me. And I think he just kind of gave up on me at that point. So I kind of let it go. And then I thought, well, maybe I should get in touch with him. It would be good to keep in touch with my job was getting musicians for recording sessions for the Apple artist and occasionally the Beatles. And I thought it would be a pretty cool idea to at least keep in touch with him so that he wasn't upset with me. So I called Denny, and Denny said, well, he wasn't around. He was at Eric Clapton's house. So a couple days later, he called me back and said, well, I'm leaving. I'm going home and back to LA, and I'm going to do my last session tonight if you'd like to come. And I thought, okay. So I did. I showed up kind of late, and I got there and was sitting there, and that's when they were putting on the vocals. I mean, Eric Clapton was on guitar. Chris Stainton was there, I believe. I can't remember everybody right now. But anyway, the only one I saw was Leon, who was in the studio, and I could see him through the window. And I sat down, said hi to Denny and Glenn Johns. And at one point, I thought I heard him say Pisces. And then I thought he said apple. And then I thought he said lady. And then I started listening to the lyrics, and I realized that I think this song is written for me or about me, or whatever. So I remember Glenn Johns asking Denny, what's the name of this song? And he said, Pisces Apple Lady. And I went, oh. The best way to explain what I felt is it was completely physical. It was like I blanked out in my brain, and my whole body just went heat. I just went heated, but my brain was numb. Anyway, he came out of the studio and he asked me if I liked the song he wrote. And I said, absolutely, I did. And why don't you stick around longer? So, the story goes on, and we end up together for a while in Los Angeles. And during the period of time I was living with him, he wrote another song for me called Hummingbird. And you'll notice that the end of it, where he says, "Don't fly away," is very reminiscent of Beatles. So, anyway, he woke me up one morning and said he wrote a song about me. And so he played this song for me. And I mean, I just thought it was beautiful. And I guess the best way to describe what it's like is that when someone expresses their feelings for you, especially loving feelings for you, it's like a gift that nobody can ever take away. It's like not the same as someone saying, "Oh, I really love you," because, in 1969, that's probably what he meant. I would think later in years that wasn't exactly what his feelings for me were, but it didn't matter because I had those songs to listen to and to remember and to feel a great deal of gratitude for. Um, so those were my two Leon songs. And then there came the one that more people will be aware of, which was called Miss Odell. And the story there also, which I wrote in my book, was that George had asked me to come out to the beach house where he was staying. It belonged to Rick and Chris Nelson. And for various reasons, I found excuses not to go out there. Some of it was drug related. Some of it was I honestly just didn't want to be around a lot of the LA people. Not a lot, but the few LA people that I knew hung out with him all the time or hung around with him all the time. I really just didn't want to be around. And that was the major reason. I thought, no, I'm not going, because these people are all going to be there and they're all yesing George, and I'm not going to be a part of that. So I didn't go. And then George called me at a time later, about a few days later. Who can remember time after all this time? And this was actually 1970, 1971, probably 70. And anyway, he was in LA to do some work with Capitol, and Patty hadn't arrived yet. She was coming, and that was another reason, is she wasn't there, so I wasn't going to get to hang out with her. But anyway, I did go. I finally drove out to the beach, and beautiful house, lovely waves that you could just sit there and listen to. It was just really nice. And George fixed a vegetarian meal for us. He could cook. And we had a nice little dinner together. There was nobody else there, as it turned out, which was, well, I was very grateful for that. And he and I just sat around for the evening talking. He told me a lot about Bangladesh and Ravi's phone calls and telling him what was going on in Bangladesh. And we talked a lot about what was going on in London and England with Apple, with the Beatles. He really didn't have much to say about Paul, but he kind of filled me in on he knew how George was, filled me in on what Ringo was up to and what John was up to. And so he had communication with them. He also kind of told me that Patty was busy trying to get the house together, but she would be over in a matter of weeks. So we had a nice conversation, and suddenly, I'm sure we were drinking, but I don't remember any drugs at that time. And suddenly he said, "Oh, hold on, I've got something for you." And I thought, oh my God, what would it be? What could he possibly be giving me that wouldn't embarrass me? So he went into the bedroom and came out a few minutes later with his guitar, and he said, "I'm going to make you famous." And then I really thought, okay, now wow. I guess the only thing to say is it feels like my brain just quit working at those moments. Just quit working. I couldn't put it. It was so out of my normal everyday experiences that I just didn't know where to put it in my head. But I sat there and he played Miss Odell, and um, I knew it was about Bangladesh. It definitely wasn't a love story, a love song. It was more about, why don't you come and see me? And I appreciate that song so much because my my memories of George, my relationship with George was very, very much to me like a brother. And he taught me so much about spirituality and myself. I learned so much from him that, I consider him a mentor in that respect. So having him write a song for me and having that memory is what keeps me close to him. And it is the connection that we had, and that to me we still have. So I thanked him awkwardly. And after a while, I left to go back into town. And once I got into the car, I went, oh my God, George just wrote a song for me with my name in the title. And he's a Beatle. I've just had a Beatle write a song for me. It was pretty mind-boggling to put it in those terms. So of course I had to call my friend Eileen, or I got home to Eileen, who I was sharing, Denny's secretary, who I was sharing a house with, and told her. And again, those are the kind of situations that happen in life that you just don't quite know where to put them. There's not already a file in the filing cabinet for that one. So George did play it again the next time I heard it. I was concerned what Patty would say, but as it turned out, when she came into town and they had moved into West Hollywood, I was over at the house quite a lot, and one evening he just pulled out his guitar and started playing it, and she just said, it's so nice that he wrote that song. And that was a relief that she was also appreciative of the fact. So it fell in a very different category than Leon's songs, and yet it's probably the one that more people know about than the others. So thank you, George. Thank you, Hare Krishna, George. And the little tidbit that I was mentioned in was Joni Mitchell's song Coyote, which was, it was written during the Rolling Thunder tour on the East Coast, and it was basically related to the writer, actor, celebrity Sam Shepard, who at that time was kind of a writer, and nobody really was that aware of him. At least I wasn't. And a little sort of problem that we had in that both of us kind of liked him, and he let that go. He played that one. Anyway, as it turned out, Joni and I remained friends, and I was really surprised to hear I am the woman down the hall. So anyway, that's kind of my story for those songs. Other than that, to my knowledge, there have been no more songs written about me, or if they have been, I think there was someone, a band in Australia, if I'm correct, did something, but nothing that you've heard. So anyway, thank you so much for sitting here with me and listening to me babble on about this. I'm going to be babbling on more. As you can see, I'm not doing this in a timely manner, but oh well, so be it. Anyway, love to all of you. Peace, love, hallelujah. Happy New Year.